Stephen A., you're out there, you're watching these games up close and personal, feeling the energy. Who has the edge now?
Right now, I think that, believe it or not, even though they're a game behind, I would tell you that Milwaukee has the edge, assuming that they play the way that they played last night. And what I mean by that is that when you had people like myself feeling like they were clueless, or when you had Kendrick Perkins being far more incendiary with his language about the idiocy that he was witnessing in front of Milwaukee Bucks, what we were talking about was the fact that this is a team that's bigger and significantly more physical that was not using it to their advantage. That wasn't the case last night. Giannis back-to-back 40-plus games, 42 points in Game 2, obviously 41 last night. You look at Chris Middleton, he was making some shots. Drew Holiday was making some shots, even though neither have been shooting particularly well from the field. But more importantly than anything else was the dominance in the paint. 18-point advantage, 16 to 18-point advantage in the paint in the first half. I forgot what it was overall, but they were taking the ball to the rack, and they recognized the fact that the Phoenix Suns are compromised health-wise. With Dario Saric going down, it's really about DeAndre Ayton because Frank Kaminsky ain't going to give you but so much. So as a result, once DeAndre Ayton went into foul trouble, you had the Phoenix Suns having to incorporate a zone with Jay Crowder in the middle, for crying out loud. And we all know he would be undersized. So Giannis, being the big boy that he is, playing bully ball, that's what ultimately the Milwaukee Bucks did. And if they continue to do that, the Phoenix Suns are going to have that much more of a problem, and everything is going to be on the shoulders of the Devin Bookers and Chris Pauls of the world, because there's very little to nothing that they can do in the interior, particularly when DeAndre Ayton has to guard himself from getting into foul trouble.
I got to start with, well, let me answer the question first, and I got to talk about Giannis for a second. Suns still have the advantage. You're not wrong about what you're saying, Stephen A. You know, if Saric isn't there, they don't have. Ayton can wind up in foul trouble if Giannis is aggressive, and that changes things for sure. It changed it last night. Suns still have the advantage because they're up 2-1. They have a better starting five, and they have home court still. They still have the advantage. But I got to say something about Giannis, because a lot like Chris Paul, and you set it up. You're talking about Devin Booker and Giannis, but I'm looking at this in terms of the storyline. Chris Paul. Could you imagine if Chris Paul didn't win that Game 6, if they would have collapsed, lost the Game 7, every team he's on, they're up 3-1 and they collapse and Chris Paul can't get it done, and instead he totally flipped that script. Could you imagine if Giannis didn't have that performance last night? They get to the finals, but Game 4, he hyperextended his knee. They did it without him, right? They look better without him. Kendrick Perkins on this show talking about Middleton is Batman and Giannis is Robin. Could you imagine if they go down 0-3, because you obviously lose at that point? So the stakes were so high for Giannis, and he just did something no one since Shaq has done, no one except Shaq has ever done since we've been counting. 40-10 in consecutive finals games. The dude is a beast. Giannis is a beast. The reason, Stephen A., the Suns will win, however, in spite of the fact that Saric is injured, is look what Monty Williams is doing. Remember the criticism of Doc, and I criticized Doc. Like, why are you – look at these rotations, 10 guys deep. You're in the playoffs. Monty Williams and I played him like all the starters, 40 minutes each, and you got the better starters. So could foul trouble be a problem for Ayton? Sure. But Ayton's play can get better, and usually it's been very good against other bigs we've seen throughout the finals. Suns have the better starting five. They have a coach who's willing to play them. They have home court. They're up 2-1.
Well, first of all, I don't know if we can definitively say they have a better starting five. Certainly when we look at the way that CP3 and Devin Booker played in games 1 and 2, fine. But when you look at this is not LeBron with AD that we're talking about. This is not KD, Kyrie, and James Harden we're talking about. This isn't something like that. Chris Paul, we understand what he's been delivering in the postseason, and he deserves major, major credit. And he'll go down as one of the top point guards in the history of basketball. And Devin Booker has arrived in terms of the stud and the star that he is. But when you look at Giannis, and then you look at Middleton, and then you look at Drew Holiday, I'm not certain I'm willing to definitively say that this is that the Phoenix Suns have the better starting five. Last night it didn't look that way, but games 1 and 2 it did look that way. So we see how this series could potentially go, and we understand that in the end, what Phoenix has is a better perimeter play. The Milwaukee Bucks are bigger and more physical and can attack the basket. And if they do that time and time again and they're committed to beating Phoenix down, then Phoenix's only hope is to hit those perimeter shots. And that's not a higher percentage shot than playing bully ball and going to the paint, particularly when Giannis Antetokounmpo is hitting 13 of 17 free throws. And so when I look at it from that perspective, that's my concern right now. Can Phoenix still win the series? You're damn right they could. But they got to make shots, and they can't have Devin Booker shooting 3 of 14 from the field and sitting out the fourth quarter because his legs feel so heavy that Monty Williams wants to prioritize Game 4 and rest him. That's a problem.
I find it very unlikely, knowing what I know about Devin Booker, what I've seen through his career. I find it very unlikely he's going to have poor shooting night after poor shooting night. Chris Paul is the master of the mid-range. They have outside shooters, they have three-point shooters. DeAndre Ayton's a load inside. I mean, they just think about how it looks different when these two teams score. When the Suns are going, and they usually are, the buckets are coming easy. Everyone's touching the ball. They're hitting the shots. When the Bucks are scoring, it looks like they have to work twice as hard for those points. I'm not ruling the Bucks out because they got last night's game. I can't rule them out, and they were energized by the hometown. There's no question about it. Home court really helped them. I'm not ruling them out. Until they win a game on the road, they can't win this series, and I wouldn't put it past Phoenix to come back and win Game 4 on the road and really cement home court.
Well, neither would I, but let's engage in some hypotheticals here for a second, Max. If Milwaukee, which is incredibly conceivable, if Milwaukee wins Game 4 and ties this series up 2-2, then Game 5 is incredibly pivotal for Phoenix because you're talking about needing to force a Game 7, which would be on your home court. And clearly, if there was a Game 7, I would pick Phoenix to win a Game 7 on their home court. What I'm saying is if Milwaukee ties this series up, then that puts an incredible amount of pressure on Phoenix for Game 5. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.